Everybody, and thank you for this moment in time that I get to spend with you. I am so excited to be joining you here at the Harlem Book Fair. I know that it is virtual, but I think anything that is attached to Harlem in New York is dope, and I am very excited about being here. My name is Dr. Anjerrika, and this is my friend and colleague,
Dr. Sekai. But why don't you finish telling us about you?
I will. I am a recent graduate of Howard University. I hold a PhD in sociology and criminology. I have an interest, my research interest is in criminology, inequality, race, and religion. So with that being said, I really want to kind of talk about what's important while we're here, and that is, of course, books, because reading is fundamental. So I want to talk about books and really my space in this place. So I'm very excited to be sitting here next to Dr. Sekai because I serve on her board as a advisory council member, and so with that, we're just very excited to have the opportunity to be able to talk about Black books, Black publishing, who we are in this space, to be able to serve on a phenomenal board with a phenomenal woman who's had a publication company for 20 years as a Black woman doing Black advocacy, Black power, Black intellectual development, and making space for Black people in this society. So
she flatters me.
But it's true. It's very true. So I'm just really grateful for her friendship, but more importantly, I'm really grateful for the work that she does and the advocacy that she do for Black people, specifically in Black spaces. So give her a hand clap. Clap it up in your camera for Dr. Sekai. So she may be humble, but I'm not going to be humble about it because I'm very excited to be a part of this awesome work that she has going. With that being said, we do have a slide presentation that we need to present. And so I kind of just want to talk about what I find to be important in this moment, and what's kind of happening in the news, in the media, and also in the law. So I wanted to talk about critical race theory. I know some of you maybe have heard about critical race theory and what it is and what's actually going on in our society.
It's kind of a global conversation, right?
It is a global conversation. So it's not just something that, just a casual conversation. Critical race theory has actually been around since about the 70s by really activists. They were civil rights lawyers who wrote a theoretical framework in order to respond to the civil rights, the repealing of civil rights. So that's what critical race theory actually comes from, and I want us to kind of talk about that a little bit and talk about the importance of it. With that, I am going to read the technical definition that actually comes from the critical race theory book, because books are important and what people wrote about themselves is important. So we're not going to talk about fluff or what other people have said about it. We're going to read directly from the book what is actually said about critical race theory. So the theoretical framework says that CRT, which is what they call critical race theory, embraces a movement of scholars. Most of them are scholars of color, situated in law school and also other disciplines as well, whose works challenge the ways in which race and racial power are constructed and represented in American legal culture and more generally in American society as a whole. So that's the technical definition of critical race theory. The reason that this theoretical framework is important is because currently specifically one party, not the other party, so I'm not saying either party is right or wrong, but the Republican Party is actually banning critical race theory from their schools. So one of the reasons I want to talk about that is they're banning it from the education system, really kind of not even understanding what it is, and that it's actually used in higher education and not even K through 12. It's a theoretical framework that's used for higher education to analyze particular populations and to talk about systemic racism and how that impacts people of color.
Exactly.
So the erasure of that, or to be taking that away, is really very problematic. So Florida, Idaho, Oklahoma, and Arkansas have all done away with critical race theory, and we want to just say openly that this is problematic and that all thoughts should be included, and for us not to be talking about systemic racism and the issue that we take with that, and how that impacts Black people on a daily life.
Exactly, because it makes you wonder, what are they actually afraid of?
What are you afraid of? Why can't you talk about systemic racism? Is this not an issue? Do we not have the issue of mass incarceration where it's mostly Black people that are locked up? Do we not have police brutality?
Exactly.
You know, for me specifically, I think that what's happening is I think people are afraid of having these conversations because Black Lives Matter movement have caused the movement that is in a legal system where people are starting to analyze systemic racism.
That part.
And to address it.
Absolutely.
And so there are laws that are coming under different administrations that are starting to talk about these things, and people of certain color don't really want to repeal those things, and for us as Black people to be able to advance our people in terms of wealth, education, intellectual development, and things like that.
So let me ask you a question, Dr. Dean. I mean, considering that you are really on the ground level of social justice, I mean, that's a very integral part of your research.
Right.
So what other theories are there that are out there in addressing systematic racism and are addressing the cause of Black men being shot down in the street? And it's not just Black men anymore, right? It's children, it's women.
Right.
You know, it's gone back to a period they said they wanted when the previous administration was run, they wanted the country to go back to 1945.
Exactly.
Literally, it feels like it's coming back to that, right? We're talking about gerrymandering. We're talking about, you know, going back to the civil rights movements. We're talking about the school to prison pipeline.
Exactly.
We're talking about all of these things. So are there other theories that you believe, you know, also addresses what's going on in addition to critical race theory? Because we also have Black scholars who are arguing among themselves about why one theory or one research is better than the other, and this is a conversation piece that we have to have as well. So what's your point on that?
It's almost definitely Afrocentricity. You know, it's something that we need to address as Black scholars. We have to address intersectionality and within academia and particularly Black spaces. You know, there is an argument of which one is wrong and which one is right, and who's actually advancing the community, the culture, and people intellectual development. But although...
Tell me again, what exactly was the definition of critical race theory?
It states that it embraces the movement of scholars.
In general, right?
In general.
It's not saying that you have to study one particular thing or another.
No.
It's not saying that you have to be a sociologist, a political scientist, you know,
and it embraces multiple disciplines.
Exactly.
And we should not be afraid of that. Not as Black people, not as white people. We should be able and open and feel free to talk about any topic as scholars that we want to talk about. If you as a scholar cannot think critical and be able to, you know, have an argument about why you disagree with a particular theoretical framework or why you agree with a particular theoretical framework, you're not really willing to grow, and you're unteachable. And we don't need people in academia that is unteachable. We need people in academia that is open, that is critical, and that is up for the challenge, because that's who we are, that's what we stand for, and that's the work that we agreed and we signed up to do when we became doctors.
Absolutely. Yeah. And part of that, according to critical race theory, is reaching across the aisle. We have to do succession planning. So we have to reach out to activists. Right. You know, you said that earlier. You know, activists are on the ground. The younger generation, the marginalized communities, the LGBTQ communities.
Exactly.
We have to talk to everyone and reach across the aisle, because academics just can't keep talking to each other.
And we cannot sit in our silos. So
absolutely.
Those Tamika Mallory's, those the people, the mothers of people whose sons have died, who are actually out there doing the work. Dr. Bahid Muhammad, who does the In and Out program for prisons and talks about mass incarceration, and who's bringing a social justice certificate for free to people all over the country, you know, being able to sign up there and take those classes through Howard University. We want to be in conversations with those people.
Absolutely.
We want to be in conversations with a Dr. Sekai, who's creating Black spaces through UWP, in order for us to publish intellectual and academic work about, you know, what we think and not what white supremacists or mainstream media think about what Black people should be talking about.
Absolutely.
We want to be open to all of those things, not leaning one way or the other.
And it's very interesting because Universal Right Publications is very focused on Afrocentricity as well as a major theory.
Yeah.
And the reason why we think about Afrocentricity is because Afrocentricity itself also intersect with critical race theory.
Agreed.
Because Afrocentricity does not tell you that you have to be white, black, or a particular race or culture to be Afrocentric. Afrocentricity tells you that you give agency to everybody.
Right.
So if you think that it's okay for me to have my own space and my own voice and to tell our own story,
right.
which is the motto of Universal Right Publications, right? We will tell our own story.
Right.
If you believe that Black people have the right to do that, then Afrocentricity says that you are Afrocentric. Exactly. And then it gives you a place and a space to say that. So these theories, Afrocentricity, intersectionality, critical race theory, these are just methods and roadmaps, right?
Right.
I've heard somebody said once that, we create a highway and then we're all driving on the highways. If you want to be a Lexus driving on the highway, that's fine.
Right.
If you want to be a Toyota, that's fine. But everybody should have a voice.
Agreed.
Everybody should be on the highway. So that's the path that we're creating, and that's the conversation that we need to have.
Agreed. And with that being said, that's why you need to tune in and stay connected to UWP, Universal Right Publication. And we want to continue. We know that we have a brief moment with you here, but we want to continue to have robust conversations with people that look like us and people that don't look like us in order to progress the race, to progress our people, and to pull our country and our history forward. So with that, you can most definitely reach me with UWP, and you can also reach me at Anjerrika _ So, or on...
You might need to spell that.
You're right. And I'll spell it phonetically. So it's A as in Apple, N as in November, J as in Juliet, E as in Echo, R as in Romeo, R as in Romeo, I as in Ike, K as in Kite, A as in Apple, and then _ on Instagram. Or you can reach me at Dr. that's DR _ Bean on Instagram. So you can find me.
What about LinkedIn? Are you on LinkedIn as well?
I'm on LinkedIn. Of course, I got a professional page. Of course, I have a professional page. Just find me at Anjerrika Bean. I really want to just connect with you. Black power, Black people, Black advocacy, just moving forward. Let's connect. Let's do some things, and let's keep this conversation going.
Wonderful. And if you don't mind me just saying a few words, as Dr. Bean stated, I am Dr. Sekai, and I am the founder, CEO, and publisher at Universal Right Publications, UWP Books. We created this company in 2004, so we're going to go in 17 years. We're 17 years this year. And we really want to talk about that Universal Right Publication really is committed to publishing scholarships that are not just about CRT or other, or Afrocentricity. We are committed to addressing every topic that's important to the Black community and to our global community, to the diaspora as a whole. So we do hope that you will join us. We do hope that you will visit us at www.uwpbooks.com. And of course, if you Google Ayo Sekai, AYO, SEKAI, not E, you will find me on YouTube, my website, Universal Right Publications, LinkedIn, Instagram, and you can also find Dr. Bean there as well. So we really thank you and appreciate your time today.
Thank you.